freeze. So the option, oh, you know what? I apologize, Trace. We're going to have to interrupt here because Harris County is now holding a press conference about the Arctic blast. So let's go to that.
Okay. And then we will, we have several folks available to answer any questions that the press may have. It is the holiday season. There's Christmas music everywhere, the lights are up, and it's normally a time to relax, to spend time with family, to celebrate. But this year, as a community, we're learning about the weather forecast, and we're feeling a little bit nervous, and rightfully so. This community has trauma from Winter Storm Uri just over a year ago. The freezing cold weather, the loss of power, the cascading effects from all of that. Before Winter Storm Uri hit in February 2021, I stood here and I urged you to prepare as though a Category 5 hurricane were coming. That was then. Today, I am not saying that. This week, we're facing something different. What we have coming our way this Thursday is a hard freeze. Uri was unprecedented for our region. This hard freeze is something we face about once every 5 years or so. And it's something we can handle so long as we work together. This coming weather can still be an enjoyable cold Christmas, maybe not a white Christmas, but a cold Christmas. An enjoyable holiday season and a lovely time, so long as we're responsible. So let me share a little bit about what we know, what we're doing to prepare, what you can do to put our community in the best possible position so we can have a great holiday season. So what will we be facing? We're calling this a hard freeze and not a winter storm or winter weather because this will be limited to cold weather and some wind. Unlike Winter Storm Uri, the forecast shows no snow, the forecast shows no icy roads. We essentially have 3 nights and mornings that'll be extremely cold. Thursday night into Friday morning, Friday night into Saturday morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning. Those times will be extremely cold. Below 24 degrees Fahrenheit, it's a hard freeze is the technical term. And during those times, the temperature will drop to the mid-teens and mid-20s. Friday during the day, it'll also be extremely cold. Are you guys catching the sound all right?
They have some ruffling in it. I don't know if that's
Adrian.
until it's time to ask questions.
Okay.
Just turn it off now.
All right, is that sounding better? Thank you. Do you need me to start over or should I keep going? All right. So the hard freeze is a technical term, and we will be within that range of below 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Friday during the day, it'll also be extremely cold. On Christmas Eve, Saturday, it'll finally warm up above freezing. The bad news is the cold weather can cause harm to people, to plants, to animals when we're not protected. We'll also see some winds on Thursday afternoon, evening, and overnight that may reach speeds that could topple some tree branches. The cold weather obviously can cause pipes to burst, as we've learned before. That's the bad news. The good news is none of this is snow, none of this is ice. We are not expecting this week's weather to carry precipitation, meaning we do not expect ice or snow on the roads or any major road interruptions. Unlike 2021, it will not be cloudy. It will be sunny, so that heat from the sun can keep some objects, even pipes, warmer beyond what the air temperature might be. And we've spoken to ERCOT, who have assured us that the grid will have sufficient capacity to meet demand and that they're well prepared to withstand the cold temperatures this weekend. In other words, according to ERCOT, we are not expecting widespread power outages. Now let's talk about what we're doing to prepare. Here in Harris County, when our teams are not responding or helping with recovery, we're preparing. Our teams are battle tested. They work every day to prepare, to think about how the county responds. We've been preparing for this. I've been preparing for this. As a precaution, our team will be in the Emergency Operations Center, keeping an eye on the weather and coordinating with our partners on Thursday. As I said, we've spoken with ERCOT, we've spoken with CenterPoint, who's assured us they'll be ready to restore power lines in case the winds that pass through the area bring down tree limbs and power lines. We're very focused on our county residents who are homeless. The county is coordinating with the Sheriff's Office homeless outreach teams, with the Coalition for the Homeless. Of course, we're working with the city on all of this. We've spoken to individuals at encampments to try to get them to warmer places. In partnership with the City of Houston, we've secured 5 locations to provide heat to folks, to shelter. We've been in communication with our industry partners. If there's a certain critical infrastructure around our industry along the ship channel that needs to come offline because of the cold, they're working on that. We've talked with transportation partners at TxDOT, the Department of Transportation for the state, and at the Toll Road Authority. We don't anticipate infrastructure issues, as I mentioned, but communication is still important to ensure road safety. We've been in communication with our first responders who are fully familiarized with the situation. They know exactly what they're walking into. They know where the warming centers and the shelters located and where they can take folks if needed. That's what we're doing. We need the community. We need you to do your part as well, to take care of yourself, of your family, your property. If you're leaving town, turn off your water and drain your pipes. That means locating your main shutoff valve. It's usually a black box near the curb outside, and turn the valve to shut off the water. Then you need to drain the water by turning on the faucets. There are very clear instructions on how to do that from a local pipe fitter at readyharris.org. If you're staying in town, there are certain precautions you need to take before Thursday afternoon, which is when it'll begin getting really cold. So by Thursday midday, make sure you've done the following. The following are the 4 P's: people, pets, plants, and pipes. People, please keep in mind, starting Thursday afternoon and evening, when you step outside, it's going to be very, very cold. I'm talking down to like 13, 14 degrees in parts of the county, Fahrenheit. You will be warmer with layered clothing. Add an extra blanket to the bed. Check on neighbors, on elderly folks that you know, anyone who might need help winterizing their home or finding a warm place to stay. If you head outside, layer up, and just remember you're safe in your home. Don't forget about your pets. That's the second P. Bring them inside if you can. If you can't bring them inside, make sure they've got enough shelter to keep warm, that they've got water, have access to water that's not going to freeze. Plants, bring the plants indoors, obviously, if you can. If you want to protect your tropical plants, secure those coverings, because as I mentioned, there's going to be some wind, and so that wind could blow the coverings off. Pipes is the 4th P. Cover exposed pipes to prevent freezing and to prevent breaks. I know folks will be home and will be cooking and running water to enjoy the holidays. So if you're staying home, the best way to keep the pipes from freezing is to keep the water trickling. Overnight is when it's going to be particularly cold, where you're not going to be, running the water, using the water. So keep all of your faucets trickling overnight, those nights that we're going to hit the coldest point. So that's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and just keep them running at a small trickle. Have all the preparations for the 4 P's: people, pets, plants, and pipes by early Thursday, by midday, before the front comes through. Don't try to deal with this after the cold gets here. As always, you can stay attuned to local news, or you should stay attuned to local news, and I invite you to visit readyharris.org, where we have updated information always. A brief note about carbon monoxide, and Chief Christensen is going to talk about this as well. If you remember, in 2021, we had more than 600 cases of carbon monoxide poisoning in Harris County, which can be very dangerous. And folks say, I know about carbon monoxide, it's not going to happen to me, but I'll tell you, I personally know people who unknowingly, they thought, I'm going to put a generator outside underneath an awning, and that was enough to get the carbon monoxide into their home. So just be very, very cautious. We're all human. We all made mistakes. We don't anticipate generator use because of a widespread loss of power like we saw in 2021. But there may be tree branches that affect power lines. There may be folks whose individual electrical system gets overwhelmed, or, so for any reason you end up without power, or you want to stay warmer, you need some sort of space heater. Just be safe. Do not bring any outdoor appliances indoors. Don't bring a grill indoors. Don't bring a generator inside enclosed spaces. Don't run your car inside the garage to stay warm. That could lead to carbon monoxide poisoning, which is an invisible and deadly threat. It's a silent, invisible, and deadly issue that already took a toll on our community in 2021. So take care of yourself and spread the word to your neighbors, to your friends, your loved ones, to be really cautious about carbon monoxide poisoning. For travel, we don't foresee travel concerns. Folks can go to the grocery store, you can go get gas, whatever you need to do. Just keep in mind what we mentioned about being bundled up, staying warm. There may be issues with airline travel. Obviously, we've already heard about that, particularly if other states are facing significant winter weather like snow and ice, especially if you're traveling to the north and the east. So just check with the airline on that. So we can't prevent temperatures of this nature. We can't prevent the timing. We wish we didn't have to worry about this right now, but we can control our preparedness. We can control our ability to respond. And this is one where really we can write it out. We can have a lovely holiday season. So let's take those steps. Keep an eye out for the press. Get your preparation on time before you leave town, certainly before Thursday midday. And we will be here continuing to monitor the weather. And I hope that this will be the last update, and that we will all have a safe, healthy, and a happy holiday season. So let me repeat my remarks in Spanish, and then I'll pass it over to Mayor Turner.
All right, we've been listening to Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo telling you what we've been telling you, that a hard freeze is coming, not like last year's freeze, to protect people, pipes, plants, and pets, and that the grid should be okay, according to ERCOT.
Yeah, Lina Hidalgo making sure to call it a hard freeze, not a winter storm, and that's what we've been sticking with, right, Dave?
That's right. It is going to be very, very cold, but we're not expecting any snow, ice, or
La comunidad ha sufrido trauma después de la tormenta invernal Uri en el 2021, donde el clima helado llevó a falta de energía, a todos los efectos de en cascada, de todo eso. En ese entonces, antes de que llegara la tormenta en el 2021, yo estuve aquí mismo y les insté prepararse como si fuera un huracán de categoría 5. Hoy día no estoy diciendo eso, no voy a decir eso, y nos estamos enfrentando a algo diferente. Lo que viene hacia nosotros este jueves es una helada fuerte. Uri fue una tormenta sin precedentes en nuestra región. Esta helada fuerte que viene es algo que sucede de repente cada 5 años aquí en nuestro condado. Entonces, este clima que viene puede ser una Navidad fría y agradable, puede ser algo lindo siempre y cuando seamos responsables. Entonces voy a compartir algo de lo que está sucediendo, lo que estamos haciendo nosotros como gobierno en cuanto a preparaciones y lo que debe hacer usted. Estamos llamando esto una helada fuerte, no es una tormenta invernal, no es clima invernal, porque a diferencia de la tormenta Uri, el pronóstico no muestra nieve, no muestra lluvia, no muestra carreteras heladas. Esencialmente tenemos 3 noches y mañanas que van a ser extremadamente frías. Del domingo a la noche hacia el viernes por la mañana, viernes de la noche, sábado por la mañana, sábado de la noche, domingo por la mañana. Esos días la temperatura estará extremadamente baja, bajará entre 10 y 30 grados Fahrenheit, o sea, menos de 24 grados Fahrenheit. Disculpe, va a estar bajo entre 10 y 30 grados centígrados. Grados Fahrenheit entre menos 10 y menos 2 grados centígrados. O sea, muchísimo frío. El viernes durante el día también va a estar bastante frío. La Nochebuena, el sábado, ya finalmente se calentará por encima de las temperaturas bajo cero. Las malas noticias es que este clima frío puede causar impacto a personas, animales, plantas, si es que no nos cuidamos. También vamos a ver vientos bastante fuertes el viernes por la tarde, esa noche, y eso podría derribar ramas de árboles. El frío, además, puede provocar que se exploten tuberías en su casa, como vimos en el 2021. Las buenas noticias es que no esperamos hielo o nieve en las carreteras o cualquier interrupción al transporte. Además, a diferencia del 2021, no estará nublado el clima, va a estar soleado. Ese sol calentará las mismas tuberías, calentará todas las superficies aún por encima de la temperatura ambiente. Hemos hablado además con ERCOT, con el Consejo de Confiabilidad Eléctrico de Texas, y ellos nos han asegurado que la red eléctrica tendrá capacidad suficiente para atender la demanda y que están bien preparados para soportar las bajas temperaturas de este fin de semana. Entonces, hablemos acerca de qué estamos haciendo nosotros como condado para prepararnos. Aquí del condado, cuando no estamos respondiendo a emergencias, cuando no estamos ayudando a la recuperación después de una emergencia, nos estamos preparando. Mi equipo está preparado, yo me he estado preparando. Como precaución, estaremos aquí en el Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia el jueves para observar y coordinar. Como he dicho, hablamos con ERCOT, hemos hablado con CenterPoint, ellos estarán listos para responder según sea necesario si es que se cae una línea eléctrica. La conversación con ERCOT básicamente nos han dicho que no habrán apagones extendidos. Estamos muy enfocados en los residentes del condado sin hogar, entonces hemos visitado los campamentos para intentar proporcionar viviendas. Hemos coordinado con la Coalición para Personas Sin Hogar, con el equipo del alguacil de asistencia para personas sin hogar. Tenemos con la ciudad 5 refugios a lo largo del condado para personas sin hogar o personas que necesiten refugio. Estamos en comunicación con nuestros socios de la industria a través del canal de navegación, donde haya industria que debe desconectarse por las temperaturas frías. Les estamos viendo que hagan eso lo más pronto posible. Hemos hablado con nuestro equipo y nuestros socios en el Departamento de Transporte de Texas, en la Autoridad de Carreteras del Condado Harris, y como sabemos, no se predice que hayan retos en cuanto al transporte, pero igual es bueno tener esa comunicación. Y obviamente estamos en comunicación con nuestros trabajadores de primera línea, con los policías, los bomberos, saben exactamente dónde están los refugios, qué hay que hacer. ¿Qué debe hacer usted? Necesitamos que ponga de su parte para cuidarse a usted, a su familia y a su propiedad. Si va a salir de viaje, va a salir del condado, por favor, drene sus tuberías y cierre el suministro de agua a su hogar. Eso significa localizar la válvula de cierre principal y cerrarla. Normalmente está en una caja negra cerca de la banqueta. Girar la válvula para cerrar el agua y después drenar el agua de sus tuberías abriendo los grifos a través de todo su hogar. Hay instrucciones muy detalladas en readyharris.org. Son instrucciones que ha ofrecido un instalador de tuberías local. Si se va a quedar en el condado Harris, hay ciertas preparaciones que debe usted llevar a cabo. Son las 4 preparaciones y les pido que hagan esto antes del jueves al mediodía. Ya el jueves por la tarde va a estar un frío extremo, como hablamos antes, va a ser un frío de 24 grados Fahrenheit, lo cual es de -10 a -2 grados centígrados. Entonces, antes del jueves por la tarde son estos temas. Primero, personas. Ayuden a vecinos, personas mayores que conozcan, que necesiten calentar su casa, asegurarse que sepan cómo funciona todo, poner más cobijas, vestirse con capas. Si sale, por favor, guantes, gorro, mantenerse caliente. Segundo, las mascotas. No olvide sus mascotas. Si puede tenerlas por dentro, haga eso. Si las mascotas no entran, entonces asegúrese que haya suficiente refugio y agua descongelada. Tercero son las plantas. Asegúrese que si cubre sus plantas externas, que estén muy seguras esas cubiertas. Como mencioné, hará viento, el viento podría volar las cubiertas que utilice para proteger sus plantas. Y finalmente las tuberías, cubra las tuberías expuestas en su hogar para evitar que se congelen y que se rompan. Dentro de su hogar va a estar, cocinando, utilizando el agua, pero por la noche, por favor, deje los grifos abiertos un poquito, deje correr el agua con un goteo todos los grifos de su casa la noche del jueves, la noche del viernes y la noche del sábado. Así va a poder prevenir que se congele el agua y que se rompan sus tuberías. Nuevamente se les pide que hagan esto antes del mediodía el jueves. Como siempre, manténganse atentos a las noticias locales y puede visitar readyharris.org para más información. Una nota breve acerca del monóxido de carbono. Si recuerdan, en el 2021 hubieron 600 personas que se intoxicaron por monóxido de carbono. Es peligroso, puede llevar a hospitalizaciones o aún a la muerte. Como hemos dicho, no anticipamos que haya necesidad para usar generadores porque no se anticipan apagones extendidos, pero puede haber gente que de repente sí sufre un apagón porque se cae una rama de árbol, porque su sistema individual tuvo un problema, de repente quiere calor adicional. Entonces, recuerde que no deba traer ningún equipo electrodoméstico del aire libre, como una parrilla, como un generador, adentro de su hogar o a espacios cerrados, como lo que podría ser el garaje. Entonces, tenga mucho cuidado, el envenenamiento por monóxido de carbono es una amenaza silenciosa, es invisible y es mortal. Si se empieza a sentir mal, puede ser esa intoxicación, llame al 911. En cuanto al viaje, no prevemos preocupaciones de viaje. Puede salir a la tienda, al supermercado, a poner gasolina, lo que tenga que hacer, salga con tranquilidad. Eso sí, tenga en cuenta el frío, ese frío tan fuerte que va a estar haciendo. Entonces, pues póngase bastantes chaquetas, guantes, gorro. Si va a salir de viaje por avión, pues sí estamos viendo impactos, especialmente si va a viajar hacia el norte o al este, entonces revise con la aerolínea. Y finalmente, miren, esto como he dicho puede ser una Navidad muy linda, una Navidad fría, como las películas de repente, pero eso depende de nuestra habilidad de prepararnos. Entonces, antes del jueves, por favor, tomen estos pasos. Si van a salir de viaje, no olviden drenar sus tuberías para que no vayan a explotar mientras no estén en casa. Y cuiden a sus vecinos, a su comunidad. Si es así, espero no tener más comunicaciones, sino hasta el año nuevo. Y les deseo a todos una feliz Navidad, un feliz año, mucho amor con su familia, con sus seres queridos y todos entonces a cuidarnos. I'm going to pass it on to Mayor Turner, and then we'll hear from Chief Christians.
Thanks, Judge. And I mean, it's always good to be with you, but not necessarily in these type of moments when we are talking about extreme weather events. I don't want to repeat everything that Judge Lina Hidalgo has said. She's covered much of it. But let me just say, as a reminder, we're expecting a hard freeze, Thursday evening, Friday, Saturday. We're not expecting any precipitation, so we're not expecting any problems with our roadway in terms of people being able to travel, go back and forth. But we do want to keep people safe from the hard freeze, Thursday evening, Friday, going into Saturday. And with that being said, let me just say that the city and the county working very closely together, so thank you, Judge, again. There will be 5 warming centers that will be set up. One will be the Fundy Community Center. These centers will be ready to go on Thursday starting at 3 p.m. Initially, we had set a time for 7, then we moved it down to 5. Then based on the weather reports we were getting, that it may get colder sooner, we're setting up these centers to open up at 3. And in some cases, we'll be prepared to even take people before then if they show up. So Fundy Community Center is one. The Acres Home Multi-Service Center is a second one. The George R. Brown Convention Center, Hall B, will be a third. And then Moody Park will be the fourth one. And then on a limited basis, primarily to be used by law enforcement, will be the Houston Recovery Center. So again, Fundy Community Center, Moody Community Center, the George R. Brown Convention Center, Hall B, will be set up, and then the Acres Home Multi-Service Center. Those centers will be ready to go Thursday at 3 p.m. Now, let me underscore, these are warming centers. These are not shelters. And we'll be working in collaboration with City of Houston employees, volunteers, the Red Cross, So in terms of what people can expect, there are warming centers, so we'll be providing blankets, chairs, MREs, water, snacks. But this is not a situation for like hot meals and cots. These are warming centers. People are free to come and go. And people can bring their pets. So at all of these locations, people can bring their pets. We're working very closely with Bark, for example, to accommodate their pets. Let me also say, and I do want to thank Lakewood Church because they're also making the church available as well. Again, as a warming center. In terms of the schedule, for example, and all these warming centers will have police present as well. We'll be providing PPEs at all of these warming centers. Now, Metro will continue to operate their regular schedule because we're not expecting any problems with precipitation on our roads. Metro will continue to operate on their schedule. And if in some cases, for example, people are concerned, for example, they don't have any heat, and Metro buses are running throughout their service area, people can certainly take advantage, and if they don't have the fee, take advantage of being on the Metro bus to just stay warm. So we want to make it as convenient as possible. And then in terms of, let's say we're particularly sensitive to our seniors, people with disabilities, to our homeless population. So for example, if people need to get a ride to one of these warming centers, Metro is certainly available. They can call 311. Metro Lift will be available. So we want to make it as convenient for people to access these warming centers because we want people to stay warm. Centerpoint, as of Thursday, will not be disconnecting people's power. And that will go through, I believe, Tuesday of next week. So as of Thursday, this coming Thursday, Centerpoint will not be disconnecting people's power. And we are very sensitive to our homeless population, so our hot teams, our nonprofits working with the Coalition for the Homeless, all of them will be on the ground as we speak, certainly tomorrow, going into Thursday, encouraging them to take advantage of one of these warming centers. Okay, so we certainly want to be sensitive to that. The goal is that we don't want anybody to die because of cold, because of the hard freeze that will be taking place. Just a few other things in terms of how to prepare going forward. If you have a sprinkler system, we're asking you to pretty much to turn that off and drain, because in Winter Storm Uri, for example, it was my sprinkler system that took off. Okay, so be mindful of that. And I do want to underscore what the judge said. This is not Winter Storm Uri. Okay, this is not Winter Storm Uri. But at the same time, we're talking about a hard freeze for a few days, and we want to prepare for that. I do want to emphasize the importance of wrapping outdoor exposed pipes. That's very important. I want to underscore that. I want to underscore the importance of draining the water from your pipes. That's another way of keeping the pipes from bursting, and certainly if you're going to be out of town. And I say that because we do want to minimize you dripping the water from the faucets. And the reason why I want to underscore that is because we don't want the pressure in our system to drop too low. If everybody is dripping have water dripping from your faucets, the water pressure can fall. And then take, for example, if there is a major fire, it's going to make it difficult on our firefighters to address that. So if you wrap those outdoor pipes, or if you drain the water from those pipes, okay, then there won't be the need to have to drip. Okay, so just bear that in mind. And then remove the garden hoses connected to the outside faucets. And then let me just say that if you, because of the wind that Judge spoke about, If you see any down limbs or trees, please let us know. Our crews will be out there. Carol Haddock, Director of Public Works, they'll be out there working. Centerpoint's team will be out there working as well. So please let us know about that. If you see flashing lights or down power lines, please stay away from them, but call 311 and let us know. In terms of what the city itself is doing to prepare, the Houston Public Works is taking multiple steps to keep our facilities up and running during the freezing weather. During water operations, drinking water operations, have wrapped our exposed pipes. Now, so if the city is having to do it, then citizens should do it as well. To secure any tanks or equipment that could be impacted by the wind, we've tested our generators and and restarted them just to make sure that they are ready. Our teams have stocked up on fuel and chemicals, so our plants have everything they need if the city experiences power outages. We're not expecting any, but we assume the worst and hope for the best, and that's what we're doing. We have also identified rapid response teams if there are water leaks, so we can get crews on site as soon as we can. I've asked our employees to be prepared, even as they get ready for the holidays, Christmas, celebrating Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, because of these hard freeze that we're expecting Madison City employees to kind of be ready to go to make sure that the people in our city needs are met. Our team also has electricians on standby, and even though we're not anticipating ice or rain during the freezing weather, Mother Nature can move in her own way, and so we'll be on standby to address that as well. But the safety of our residents and employees is our top priority, and we're taking every steps to make sure that we keep everyone safe. So again, this is not Winter Storm Uri. We are not anticipating any precipitation, but we are concerned with those who are living on our streets, our seniors, people with disabilities, children. Those are the populations that we are concerned about. And so let me ask everyone to help us to make sure that we attend to the needs of these groups. And then I do want to say to landlords, when the population drops below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, you are obligated to keep that temperature in these apartments at 70 degrees. Okay, so just please bear that in mind. So if we do that, then I think we'll get through this. In Houston, this is not the East Coast or up north, but you know when it drops below 60 degrees, it's cold, okay? And so right now, the hard freeze has not even come. But I got my cap, my scarf, my overcoat. I'm cold right now. So if it goes below 30, I'm really cold. And if it drops below 20, it's Antarctica. Okay? So let's just prepare. And if we do that, we'll get through it. I do want to say, because there's no precipitation, you can still shop. Okay? You can still go to the stores. You can still get your Christmas gifts, all of that. But in doing so, make sure that you protect your home so that when you finish from the stores, you don't come back on Saturday or Sunday and then pipes bursting. Okay? So you can shop, but make sure you protect your homes. And then together, let's make sure that we protect our seniors, people with disabilities, our kids, and those who are on our streets. If you do that, then we'll come through this, and then we can all celebrate together and be together and for the coming year. I think that should do it. And Chief, Judge, let me turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll hear from Chief Christensen, our Harris County Fire Marshal.
Thank you, Judge.
Lori Christensen, Harris County Fire Marshal. I'd also like to expand a little bit. Judge Hidalgo and Mayor Turner did a phenomenal job of explaining the preparation points. What I'd like to talk to you about is heater safety. You know, obviously we have various holidays going on. We have presents, we have trees. Many of you are going to be starting up your fireplaces for the first time, or maybe you're pulling out space heaters that you've had stored. I want to remind you, if you haven't started your space heater, if you haven't started your fireplace, make sure those are clean. Make sure you're familiar with how to start those. You want to keep a 3-foot safety kid zone. That's what I like to call that, because obviously we may have some presents under those trees. We may have our trees located in an area that is close to a fireplace or a space heater. So keep that 3 feet. Remember your pets. We talk a lot about bringing them in. You bring them in, you're not used to having them in the house. Let's make sure they know not to get near those areas as well. In addition, you're going to have family members coming to your home to visit possibly, or you'll be going places. When you get there, talk about an escape plan. Hey, I know I'm staying in a guest room. How do I get out of the house if an emergency occurs? If there is a fire or if something were to happen, where's our meeting space? Because one of the things we want to do is make sure you get through this season as safely as possible. In addition, if you're coming to town, we work very closely with the Hotel Motel Association. If you're coming to town, staying at one of the hotels and motels, I always encourage people, when you get to your room, count the number of doors to the stairwell. Because remember, if there's an emergency and there's a fire, you're going to escape to that stairwell. And this way you know how many to count as you're getting low and crawling through. In addition, we talked about carbon monoxide, and we all know what occurred during Winter Storm Uri. But I'm going to encourage you, do not use the generators and the grills inside the home. As Judge Hidalgo mentioned, you want to be careful that you don't have them too close to your awnings or anywhere else. If you live in an apartment, most apartments do not allow you to have grills or generators on your patios. So make sure you're communicating with your condo facility. In addition, you want to make sure that you do not plug your space heaters or even an electric heater or a fan into an extension cord. They're not meant to pull the power from those regular extension cords. It needs to be plugged directly into the wall. If you have to use a surge protector, do so. Our main thing is we want to help you stay safe. If you have questions, obviously they've given the information. We are here. Please follow us on social media. We're working with Reddy Harris and our partners in Houston. And thank you again for coming out.
Thank you, and we've got Carol Haddock with the city, Mark Sloan, our emergency management coordinator, and Jeff Linder, chief meteorologist, to answer any questions.
Can you just clarify, yesterday the Public Works Department sent out a memo kind of mimicking what the mayor said about not dripping water, but then you said that we should. Can you just clarify what we should?
Carol, to explain it.
Go ahead.
So the memo about not dripping water is specific to the City of Houston system. So our system is run not through water towers, but through repump stations on the ground, and it requires electricity. So we ask people not to drip their faucets because the way we put pressure on the system, that could actually cause pressure losses throughout the system. That is not, excuse me, as the judge said, that's not pertaining to all the systems in Harris County, and she's getting information from them on that. That is the City of Houston system.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the idea is if you're running the dishwasher, if you're running the washing machine, you know, that'll keep the water flowing. It'll keep it from freezing. If you're not on the City of Houston system, drip at night. If you're on the City of Houston system, you know, follow the mayor's advice because we don't want to lose that water pressure, and then we end up in a boil water notice again. And so, but what can you do is wrap those pipes. If you're heading out of town, drain them and shut off the water, and open the cabinet doors. That helps as well. Anywhere where the attic, anywhere if you have any exposed pipes, you know, think about that.
A lot of the problems 2 years ago were caused by the power outage. I know you said that you talked to ERCOT. They're confident that the grid will be okay. I'm just wondering, how confident are you that the grid won't fail this time?
Look, we've asked all the questions. We can't go check every single promise of weatherization. What we know is as follows, from what they tell us. You know, I personally have not gone there, but my team has had those conversations directly with ERCOT, is that they have weatherized a lot of the facilities. And this was part of the challenge last time, is not only was demand up, but the generation was down. So that generation side should not be an issue. What else do we know? There's not going to be ice or snow anywhere that could impact the facilities that were impacted and taken offline by the ice and by the snow in 2021. So that should also make a difference. We know that CenterPoint and ERCOT have worked on backup generation. So we have that additional supply. And we know that it's going to be sunny, so there may be slightly less demand for power. That, you know, it's still going to be very, very cold, but not as cold. So overall, I have no reason to doubt their assurances that there will not be widespread outages. Again, could somebody lose power because the winds knock off a tree limb that knocks off a power line? Yes. But from what I've seen, the questions we've asked, I'm not in a position to say, you know, I don't believe what they're telling me. What they tell me makes sense, and we feel pretty confident that it'll be smooth. But of course, as the mayor said, you know, you prepare for the worst. You hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. And so we're well rehearsed on if there were to be an issue, we would deal with it. But I really don't think that it's a likely scenario, and that's why, unlike last time, I'm not here saying prepare as though this was a Category 5 hurricane. Saying prepare as though this were a hard freeze, which it is, and let's all do our part, and in that case, we'll have a really, really lovely holiday season.
The only thing that I would add, even if, during Winter Storm Uri, if you had drained the pipes, then the pipes would not have burst. So that's preparing for the worst. Wrapping the pipes, fine. You know, opening up the cabinets, that's fine. And all of that's worked, and that works well when you do have power. But if you don't have power, if you drain your pipes, especially if you're going out of town, but if you drain your pipes and then cut off the water, then regardless of what happens, you know, you're not going to have pipes bursting. So that's preparing for the worst. Okay, but we're hoping that we won't have any problems. But again, sometimes ERCOT is like Mother Nature. You never know what you get until you get it.
Any other questions?
I think just last thing, we've had some messages from viewers that can't find those covers for their pipes and stuff. I know you're recommending draining your pipes, but is that pretty much what you recommend in that situation if they can't find covers?
Yes, that would mean you wouldn't have water, right? So you've got to, that's why we're not saying to everyone, we're saying everyone that's headed out of town, because you know, you're not going to be running your water during the day or into the night. So if you're headed out of town, for sure, drain the pipes, shut off the water to your system, and then you just got to find that covering right outside your home. And as I said, readyharris.org has got a video. I watched it. It's like super easy to follow. And so if you're staying in town, you know, that's kind of the risk calculus that each person makes. So if you're outside the city and you can drip your water, great. If you can't, maybe it's something that when it gets the coldest night, it's going to get progressively warmer each night. So the coldest night, maybe you drain and you shut off, but then you don't have water for the night. So it's a decision that each individual family is going to have to make, balancing that inconvenience with really pretty much eliminating the risk of a burst pipe. But you know, we keep the pipes maybe 8 inches below ground in Houston, Harris County, which is much closer to the surface than we do elsewhere. So that means it can get cold easily, but also with that sun that's going to be mercifully be coming out all of these days, hopefully it will keep the ground from getting too cold over the night and from having too many impacts from pipes that are underground that are not wrapped. So you know, there certainly is a risk. There certainly is a risk. Anything to add, Carol?
We'll add real quick. I mean, just because you can't find the actual pipe insulation at the hardware store, there are lots of things that you can use. Somebody back here said pool noodles. You can use towels on a temporary basis. There are lots of things that you can do to do that. And I will tell you, I personally am going to drain the pipes in my house. I'll go out, you know, we'll fill the toilets up in an extra pitcher. So if somebody needs to use it overnight, turn the valve off, drain the pipes, go to bed, get up in the morning, turn it on. I mean, it'll be a little cold, but I can put on a jacket and go turn it off and on. I mean, and as the mayor said, if there is no water in your pipes, then the water can't freeze, expand, and burst your pipes. It truly is the safest way to do it long term. I also want to say, for those of you in apartment complexes, you don't need to worry about that. You personally, inside an individual apartment unit, you don't need to drip water. You don't need to worry about the other things. The apartment complex is taking care of those things for you, making sure that those systems are safe. So please don't add that burden to anybody's system.
The information about the warming centers, is that going to be on readyharris.org? And then the second question is, I know you mentioned Lakewood Community Church. Is that going to be under the same guidelines in terms of timing, open for the public?
So the mayor mentioned the centers. Those are the four in the city, and then the Lakewood. The county is operating a shelter, and we're not providing the information about that right now because it's really for, if someone is in dire straits and they call 911, that's where people will be sent. But we want to make sure and preserve those spaces for folks that are truly in need of an overnight shelter. So that's why that information is not online. But we will get the information for the warming centers up on the website. But as the mayor said, to be clear, those are not providing sort of the cot overnight type setting.
And they should already be online. And Lakewood, I would say, reached out to us and is volunteering their church as a warming center. So I don't want to give anybody any false expectations. This is not a shelter, so it's not like hot meals and all that being provided. This is literally helping you to come out of the elements to serve as a warming center. There'll be snacks and water and PPEs being provided, and MRIs being provided. MREs. Is it MREs? MRIs. Okay, y'all know what I mean. That will be provided. And to get you comfortable. And then, of course, you're free to come and go. But those centers, those addresses, locations are online already. Okay? We are prepared. Public Works is prepared to do that. So if there's any indication that there's any precipitation at all on our bridges or overpasses, our trucks will be ready to go immediately. We're not anticipating any, but again, we are preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And I certainly wouldn't be telling you to go out and shop, for example, on Friday when I plan to start, just happen to be the coldest day. But if by any chance there's any danger with our roadway precipitation, then our trucks are ready to go. Same thing with TxDOT. They have said the same thing. We're not anticipating any problems, but we are preparing just in case.
And we're in touch, obviously, with the precinct commissioners, and their crews are always on standby, but the forecast has stayed very consistent. Jeff, I don't know if you have anything to add, and it really doesn't seem like there's going to be precipitation. So that's what makes this so different. We won't have snow, but, I think it's okay to pass on that if we can all be safe.
I do want to say, though, I do want to encourage, because we do have a number of organizations that sometimes will go out and take jackets and coats and things of that to our homeless population. I simply would encourage people to encourage them to take advantage of the warming centers. Because sometimes people will try to stick it out, thinking it's not going to be as cold. And in this particular case, I would encourage those who are out there assisting in taking care of our homeless population to encourage them to take advantage of one of the warming centers. That is one of the primary reasons why we decided today to open up the George R. Brown Hall number B, Hall B, is because during Winter Storm Uri, we used that, and it was primarily used heavily by the homeless population, so they're familiar with that. So again, to those nonprofits, other individuals, groups of faith who are going and providing coats and jackets to those who are homeless, that's certainly appreciated. I would prefer, though, that they be in one of these warming centers. Okay.
Can we just have Jeff touch on the cold? I mean,
Yeah, this is going to be cold. Something probably we see about once every 5 or 6 years down here. So we will be below freezing for an extended period of time. Lows down into below hard freeze criteria, that's 24 degrees or lower for more than 2 hours, and barely getting above freezing on Friday. And so it's going to be cold, no precipitation. So you can travel. There will not be any roadway issues, but it will be cold.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Best thing you can do is be in the mall.
Yeah, be in the mall. Thank you so much.
All right.